This video is going to be the weekly forecast for the last week of May 26th to 30th. Hopping over to the charts, right now we are on the weekly time frame. Now over here we can clearly see that we have taken out the previous week's high and we have closed nearer to the previous week's low. Dow Jones on the other hand has taken out the previous week's low, trading into the new week opening gap and closing within the new week opening gap. For Nasdaq, it's pretty much the same as ES, right? So TLDR, next week I am bearish until we trade to the volume imbalance, or you can say liquidity void as well for Nasdaq, right? Because if you see Nasdaq right here, the lows and the high of these two candles are not touching each other. So in this case, we have a liquidity void where price might want to reprice into before higher prices. On the other hand, from the current swing low that we have right now, invalidation swing low, to the current high, it's not a swing high, it's just a high, we are in premium. So trading down into this PD array would not invalidate the idea that we are going to trade higher and to take out the all-time highs, because up here these are relative equal highs. Okay. For Nasdaq, I would be focusing on this candle's low as well as the inversion fair value gap over here. Okay. For ES, same thing. I'll be focusing on this candle's low, and I'm interested to see if ES would like to trade into the daily fair value gap right here. Okay, because I don't think that we are going to trade into OTE. It's just my narrative that I'm speaking, because we have reacted off OTE based on the higher time frame candles. So notice how we have this expansion. That was no stop hunts, right? So when we pull the fibs like this, you can see that we are reacting off the 62%. Same thing over here, 705. And then for Dow Jones, 62% as well. Okay, so because we are reacting off the OTE, the move towards this all-time highs will be low resistance liquidity run. So for low resistance liquidity run, I don't really anticipate price to spend too much time trading back and forth internal liquidity to external. Rather, I think that it's going to be hits an order block higher, hits a bullish fair value gap higher, something like that. Okay, it's just going to keep repricing higher without any strong retracements. That's what I think, which is why I do not really anticipate price to trade down into OT or even this fair value gap right here, especially for Nasdaq, right? We do have this gap right here. So if I'm not anticipating Nasdaq to trade into this particular weekly fair value gap, then that means that Nasdaq is the most bullish asset among the three, followed by S&P, and then lastly Dow Jones, because Dow Jones right now, it's closing below this up close candle. That's number one. Number two, it's nearer to this particular gap, or should I say this particular fair value gap, when comparing against S&P and Nasdaq. Dropping down into daily time frame, now we can see that because we are anticipating low resistance liquidity runs, we are not anticipating swing lows to be taken out. Okay, so in that case, which means we're not anticipating ES to take out this particular low right here, and we're not anticipating Nasdaq to take out this low right here. However, if you take a look at Dow Jones, this low did not take out any swing lows on the left. When you're comparing to Nasdaq and S&P, over here, this particular candle on Friday 2nd of May, it's a swing low. Okay, so because we have this initial stop hunt on the daily time frame, right now what I see for both ES and Nasdaq is that it's just repricing into a discount PD array to go higher. For YM, it's slightly different because there was no stop hunt down here. I would be open to the idea that Dow Jones might want to take out this particular swing low. And once Dow Jones take out the lows, then I think we are in for SMT on the lows to trade higher. Okay, now if we take the range from this swing low to this swing high, ES has traded into 50%, but we are anticipating OTE, because OTE is where we have the liquidity void on the daily candles as well. For Nasdaq, same thing over here, OTE, right? You can see how nicely it matches with the liquidity void. And then for Dow Jones, because this swing low is expected to be taken out, I would have to use the fibs from this low right here to this high, and that is right where the 705 OTE range would be. Okay, and it's a little bit tricky for Dow Jones because over here on the way down, it didn't have a stop hunt as well. If you are comparing it with S&P and Nasdaq, this is the particular swing low that was taken out prior to the run higher. So this is a little bit complicated on Dow Jones, but I'm not going to depend on Dow Jones to do certain things before executing on S&P and Nasdaq, right? Because Dow Jones is more like confirming if the market is in sync, or is it going to be slightly more challenging when it's decoupled. So that is the only difference here. Okay, Dow Jones usually ends up doing its own thing, and even if it is to trade lower, eventually it's gonna catch up to S&P and Nasdaq. All right, now for this, I'm pretty much done for the weekly forecast, right? Just a little bonus right here, because I'm just going to draw down into the 4 hours time frame, because we're looking to take out this liquidity void, especially on especially on ES. Notice how we are trading into the bearish fair value gap over here on the 4 hours during the PM session. I would like to see continued expansion lower on Monday and Tuesday. Those 2 days should be considered one day. Let me just take a look. Okay, we have Tuesday. Yeah, so we are starting the week off with this daily candle that is highlighted as Tuesday, which means Monday and Tuesday is going to be a merged trading day. So because of that, then I think price might want to open lower, and then we continue to gravitate down into this particular level. And once we do so, I would like to see if price would like to reverse higher based on FOMC on Wednesday, and then we can continue the move into Thursday and Friday in terms of moving higher to take out buy side liquidity. Over here on 4 hours, we can see that the last stop hunt was this swing high before this move lower. As long as we are below this swing high, I cannot confidently say that we are going to resume the bullish order flow on the higher term frames. Okay, so this swing high right here would be invalidation of lower prices, and then until this low or this objective is taken out, I would be bearish. And once we take out this level, I would like to see some form of bullishness. If not, then it depends on how the weekly profile is going to be played out before I try to execute the position. Right, so for the past 2 weeks, indices has been rather difficult to trade, but no worries, because it just came off from a very large volatility price action over here and over here as well. You can see the amount of points that it moved in just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, 4 weeks basically, because right here it's a consolidation, right? So we have been expanding pretty fast from the past 4 weeks after this huge drop within a singular weekly candle. So which is why it's pretty hard to trade. And at the same time, next week we would be closing the month, so that adds on to another layer of complexity. But anyways, no worries, right? Hopefully we can find something next week, like something easy to trade next week. If not, then we would just move on to the forex pairs of the futures exchange. All right, and that's it. Hope you enjoyed this session, and I will talk to you again. Have a great weekend.